Cancel it, yeah.
Wayne County Board of Commissioners are back in session after a break. Next item on the agenda is budget amendments. Ms. Hope.
The first three budget amendments in your packet this morning are reductions, small reductions in grant funds, so I'm going to kind of go through those all at one time. Your first one is Home and Community Care Block Grant funds are being reduced by $6,499 for wages. The next one is the Health Department. It is the tuberculosis state grant reduction of $670. And the next one is our Smart Start funds being reduced by $9,038.
You've heard Ms. Hope. What's the pleasure of the board on budget amendment 180, 186, and 201?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion on the floor. We approve the three budget amendments. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Budget amendment number 197 and 205 and 206 are for our Sheriff's Department. 197 is to appropriate concealed weapon and fingerprint fees received by the sheriff, $3,810. The next one is for $68,000. It's for the sheriff to transfer funds from the gas, oil, and tires line item for purchase of portable radios. And the next one is to anticipate and appropriate seized property funds of $2,348.90.
You've heard Ms. Hope, budget amendment 197, 205, and 206. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Have a motion on the floor. We approve budget 197, 205, and 206. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Darden.
I wish the sheriff was here to answer that. The $68,000 in regards to funds to purchase portable radios and equipment.
We have an opportunity to upgrade the portable radios, and I believe it's at about a half price, and somewhere in that
Close to
neighborhood.
half.
Close to half. And so what we're asking him to do is try to find the money within his budget to go ahead and upgrade those at that price, because we've got some compatibility issues with them. And so so what we're doing here is reducing some of his vehicle supplies, and of course the big savings is in gasoline, because we budgeted at a higher amount obviously than what we're paying right now. So that seemed like a good line item to take this out of and go ahead and purchase that equipment, because we're getting it at such a good price.
Well, I had thought that the equipment mentioned were some body cameras. Am I correct on that? Or not?
These are radios.
These are radios.
Only radios?
Right. And we're doing it, Wayne, you may want to explain that a little bit as far as the...
Well, as all of y'all know, we're going through an enhancement on the radio system, and by the way, we're real close on having that wrapped up. I think we'll be able to meet our target date of completion. But Harris, the manufacturer that the system was purchased from, not the people that's working on it now, this is the manufacturer. Harris is the old GE. In the future, our radios are going to be changed anyhow because of federal mandates. Harris has offered to swap out. This is just portable radios. This is not mobile radios, just strictly portables. They've made an offer, and it's good until the end of the year, to swap out the portables we've got now for an upgrade, and I want to think it's a 47% change
I think that's right.
savings. I don't quote me on that exact figure, but it's not exactly a 50%. It's just a tad under 50% savings. And not only has the Sheriff's Department been offered this also the fire departments in the county, and everyone has been offered this opportunity to upgrade the radios. I think some of the fire departments is taking advantage of it, and the sheriff is taking advantage of it. But that's what's brought this out. This is strictly from Harris, Mr. Mayor.
I was under the, am I wrong that this was part of our countywide contract with RCC? Because we are doing we're stepping up to a whole new system as far as our database. Wasn't these radios included in that?
No, this has got nothing to do with RCC. This is strictly Harris. RCC's got nothing to do with this. This was a proposal that Harris presented to the county, not RCC.
I understand, but what did not we have in our contract for the countywide emergency system, an updated radio system with RCC? Even though they're buying them from Harris, right?
Well, no, you didn't have these in there.
I know, but we had some in there because wasn't the system supposed to be upgraded to the next?
Yeah, but not the radios. Had nothing to do with radios.
Had nothing to do with
No,
radio.
Well, they were not replacing radios.
No, they were not replacing the
Only,
radios.
only the base stations are being enhanced now with the RCC upgrade. These Harris products here is just an offer that Harris gave to the county. They could have done it 2 months ago or 6 months from now. It's just the timing of it's where it's fell in place. This is the only portable radio we're talking about.
Okay.
And we could, you know, put it off to next year and do it, but at that kind of price, it's just,
I agree.
and we've got the savings from gasoline, so we felt like we could.
Mr. Page.
The current portable radios that we got in our fire department now, are they all gonna have to be replaced, or they just need to be tweaked, or?
They're fine right now. They're operating fine. No issues really. It's just that Harris has offered to upgrade to a newer radio that since they manufactured the ones we've got. The ones that we've got, Joe, help me out here. My understanding is that the target date is 2018,
Yes.
but that's federal stuff, so it might be 2028.
But when our current system is turned on in, what was it, March date, the current
April
radios will be
date. But
operational?
what we've got, because all the departments are not up into trade radios.
But yeah, to answer your question, they are operating.
They are
Okay, well,
operational
that's-
and will work fine.
that's hugely important.
Right.
Well, I was of the same impression you were, Mr. Mayo, that the original contract and all that we discussed earlier on would cover the radios we have and upgrading them or, but I hear you, Mr. Acock. I was under that same impression. I'm glad to hear this discussion this morning so that we know that what is and what is not, because I think each time I hear something out in the public or at some, say, a fireman or somebody, I always think that, well, is this being coordinated back through the county's communication system? I think that's what my question always is. So I hear this morning that an individual fire department could upgrade, but upon that, and it's not directed at Harris, but it's against anyone who has new electronic equipment, because I've had this with computers over time. Someone is always wanting you to upgrade to another model, and sometimes it makes things become incompatible once some group starts to upgrade, and then all of a sudden you discover that upgrade throws the whole mesh off. So that's my concern, that no matter what we're doing, we don't let it get out of balance, because that's what we're working for now, is balance, I thought. Okay.
This is it's all been vetted by Mel Powers.
All right.
And he's over the whole radio system operation, so we've run it through him.
And the comment about enhancing radio, that's true. The present equipment that we've got now is in the contract and that has been done. The enhancement has been done on the equipment that we actually have now. These new radios is a whole different ballgame. But the enhancement has been done on the mobile units and the portables. And that equipment is still usable and will be for several years. But Harris has come out with a newer radio since when we purchased radios. And if offered to trade them, and it's got to be, we can't take 50 radios and change them for 55. It's radio per radio. If you've got 10 radios you want to trade in, you're gonna get 10 radios. There's no gray area to play with.
But, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just, I'm not questioning a lot, except for just, I want to ask, I remember in the testing of the radios in the RCC contract, when you go to field testing or when you go to Harris to check out the radios, are they not the radios that we're gonna use here in the county? That's my question. How can you check a radio system without up-to-date radios? How's that being done? That's in the RCC contract, by the way.
The radios that we've got are up to date, but they just, I mean, it's just like cell phones. I mean,
Yeah.
they've come out with one that does a little bit of job, and Tommy, you've been working on it with Mel. Do you want to chime
Yeah,
in?
the current radios that we have, I'm sorry. Part of the RCC contract is part of the radio, the current radios we have, they're upgrading, reprogramming basically. That's, I think that's what you were alluding to with the
Yeah.
RCC contract.
Yes.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. But,
Before you leave, so these will be new radios. What is the advantage of these radios over what we've got that's currently working?
They help me out here. You and
That's what,
Tommy, you and Joe help me out here. They've got features that the radios we've got now don't have. They will do more.
Okay.
They will do more. They got more features on them. But as far as the talk about volume and all that, there's really no
It's just
real
a
change.
newer version, it's got a few more features, and then the timing of the year for the business, I think they were trying to do some inventory reduction type.
so they made us an offer that we couldn't refuse. And I hear that, and that sounds good, but
Some departments have refused now. I mean, if
No,
they
no,
don't
no.
have it in their budget, I mean, they're not
well,
doing
that's
it.
just a saying.
Right.
But, it's, anyone can offer you, guys, I think I sort of get the sense that, are we buying something because someone wants us to buy something new versus what we have is working fine? If it's working fine and we're getting it balanced so that everybody can talk to everybody, that's my thing right there. I appreciate this company wanting to get some inventory before December 31st, but that's my concern.
Mr. Bell.
I just want to use this analogy. This little flip phone that I have here would do everything that Bill's,
I went wrong.
what I'm saying is, anytime they enhance something, it's just, you can do more things with it than what the old system. Now, this old system will work just as good as the new system, but it won't do as much. I put it that way.
Mr. Chairman.
And when Mr. Bell and I are talking on the telephone, I got this smartphone, and we can talk, we just talking. But Mr. Bell asked me some question I don't know. I can say, hold, Mr. Bell, give me a minute. I go off of it and go in there and ask this cell phone a question. It'll tell me the answer. But it didn't mean that we couldn't talk to each other in the regular way. I just wanted to kick that in, because they're two separate animals. So that's just one of whether or not we.
Mr. Mayor.
I just want to make sure that we're doing a model N years what we're buying. It's just like a car. And if it's a model N year, should we wait till next year and when another upgrade comes, would it be much better than what we could get now for maybe half price? That's the question.
I think what they were trying to do is maybe soften the blow that we may have to face down the road in, 2 or 3 years when we have to buy another batch of radios.
Because you've got to meet that statutory requirement, the FCC requirement.
Yeah, the
When is that?
P25.
18?
It's a bandwidth cut in 2018 to
18.
6.25. However, they can sometimes, and do sometimes, back it off a year or
Right.
two. But I think you're right, it's trying to soften the blow, trying to do a little here and there to meet the requirements in 2018.
There probably would have to be another upgrade before 2018, is that
No,
right?
there won't be any more upgrade requirements.
When you say soften the blow, you mean the company's looking out for us?
Well, that, and then for us, stretching out some of the purchases that we would have to do too.
The ideal is you don't wanna have to buy them all at one time, just like vehicles.
And there's gonna always be upgrades every year to every product if it's technical. And, so you just have to bite the bullet and do it as soft as possible.
And then the portables, they take a lot more abuse than the other ones too. so.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I'm sorry I asked the question. I move adoption of the budget amendments.
I have a motion on the floor. Do we have any other discussion?
Commissioner Cromartie had already made the motion.
Oh, he already made the motion. Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's all you forgot, didn't you?
yeah.
Y'all keep me straight.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank
Have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, show sign of right hand. Motion carries.
Your next budget amendment, number 202, is for the Department of Social Services. It's $782,264. It's to appropriate funds received for low-income energy assistance. There's no county funds in it.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
motion to approve.
Have a motion on the floor that we approve Budget Amendment 202. Any discussion?
I got one question, Ms. Ho. Is this the norm?
Yes.
About the same amount?
They come, we may get a little more later, just as they appropriate it to us, we
Right.
bring it to you.
Okay.
Actually, it's been going down a little bit.
That's what I was concerned about. That's what.
Well, just to add a little bit to that, I was call was directed towards me about this program, and I just want to give just a little bit of a shout out to that department. They have provided the answer that I need to pass on, and they've assured me that they have a process in place so that all of the citizens who are eligible for this, or who think they're eligible, will have an opportunity to make application and be served. And although this dollar figure may be going down, I was assured that this dollar figure is projected to take care of the need that's in Wayne County. So, just as an opportunity to say thank you to Debbie Jones and her staff. They are out there working hard for the people. Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Your next budget amendment is for the Wayne County Schools. It's $1,651,563. It's to appropriate funds requested by Board of Education to purchase case goods, artwork, and construction manager purchase cost. These were part of the original agreement we finalized on for the Grantham Middle School and Spring Creek Middle School. And they are using their restricted sales tax funds for these purchases.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Doherty.
I spent a little bit of time on this particular budget amendment, and I have some heartburn, and would ask that we withdraw this budget amendment and ask for some additional clarifications from the school, and particularly this artwork of $326,452. Now, that originally was talked about in regards to signs. It was artwork in signs. And the signs were included, and I'd just like to have a listing of what the $326,000 worth of artwork are. And Ms. Holt, I do not believe you have a listing of that, do you?
I only have it in summation.
In
Just the
summation.
$326,000. I don't have the details on
And
it.
Mr. Wood, do you recall what?
I don't know that we were provided a listing.
I don't
That
think we
was
were
in
either.
there.
I think it was a matter we discussed it, and they said, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And even though it's their funds, I just don't feel comfortable in voting on the approval unless I at least know what we're speaking of here.
Okay.
Uh,
Could I suggest that you approve the rest of it? Because they've got some, I believe we've got some bills for, don't we?
Well, we need to get it on our books because we need to get the total amount of the project on our books. And they've used their sales tax restricted funds, which are kept on our books, to appropriate this over
And
to
it
the
would
capital
The
cost-
question
project.
is, would you be comfortable approving the rest of it, but delete out the 326,452 until we get more information at the January meeting?
Well, let me move to the next one then. What is CM purchase cost?
Construction manager.
Construction manager, okay, well, I remember that one.
Yeah, they're doing, yeah. That's some things they're purchasing through them outside the regular contract.
And the case goods were those desks and
That's
those
right.
items. and
That's
stuff
the
that-
built-in cabinets and bookcases and things like that.
So they already been purchased?
No, but I'm saying they're getting ready to do some, so they wanna, and we may have a few bills that are in.
I think that they have bids on it.
They have bids out.
They have some quotes, or I don't know if they bid it or
So we
quoted
need
it,
to-
on the case goods.
We'd like to go ahead with the other, but the things you have questions on, we can certainly take that out. And then bring that back. And
Well, I mean, again,
We'll get with them and say, we want a detailed
Again, for the
list.
presses, I don't want to micromanage the school system, but I think we all should have a little bit of heartburn if we're talking about $326,000 worth of pictures of artwork. I think we would all have a little heartburn with that, but it may not be that. So,
Yeah, I think some of that is signs, but again, we can we can have them give us more detail on that.
What is 487, what is that?
That is a capital project. We are required, y'all adopted a capital project fund. We actually keep all the expenditures for both of these schools in what we call a capital project fund. With a
So-
capital project fund, it will not be part of our annual budget process because a large project like this usually expands more than one fiscal year. So y'all have approved it until the construction is complete.
So 487 means it's a capital project?
Yes, sir.
That's what that's a code for, that's a,
Yes, sir.
okay,
It's the fund we're holding all the funds in for these two
that's a
schools.
fund.
But the
Capital
dollars are not coming from borrowed dollars. It's coming directly from the school system's tax dollars. Is that correct?
These funds on this budget amendment are coming from their restricted sales tax.
Yeah, these are things they agreed to pay for, and we did not bond finance this.
And it would cause heartburn if we wait 2 weeks to get a listing before we approve the remaining of this?
I don't know, they're controlling, they're an agent of ours, so they're controlling the expenses, and I don't know when they'll be turning them into me for payment.
Pam's concern was to go ahead and get it on the books. But if you want to wait, we can do that.
The school system's on a physical year just like we are.
That's right. It's
So
not the end of
by the
the,
end of the year, it doesn't make any difference.
doesn't make any difference. We're just concerned about if they had something that they needed it for now.
It is part of the total cost that we were agreed upon.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bell?
don't you all think we should go ahead and approve it because we don't know what the ramifications would be if we don't? And then just in the future, get a listing of all this stuff that.
Well, what
we
I'm
need to know
suggesting is you just approve everything except the $326,000 that Joe has questions on.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve,
Okay,
is
go
that
ahead.
okay?
Yeah.
That we approve Budget Amendment 153 with the exception of the artwork of $326,452 until such time as we get a detailed listing.
Right.
I have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor of Budget Amendment 153 with the exception of Mr. Darty's motion? All in favor, show sign of right hand. All opposed? Six one, Madam Clerk.
Well, I'll give you one, okay?
That's what we're here for.
I hear you.
To vote the way that we feel like
That's
we need to.
Okay, and we do have a walk-on. It is number 214. It is 21st Century Community Learning Center grant funds per the new contract for period beginning 7/1/2014. It's for $339,188. These are grant funds.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Payton.
I move to approve.
Have a motion on the floor that we approve. Let me get to it. Budget Amendment
214.
214. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of Budget Amendment 214, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question while Ms. Pate is at the podium. What do y'all think about if we create a purchasing agency? Because we're losing a lot of tax dollars when the schools spend money, because they don't receive sales tax, do they, refund?
Now, we're paying their bills for, so we are getting the sales
Okay,
tax on
okay.
this.
Just want to make sure.
Yes, we did cover that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Hope? Is that all your budget amendments?
Yes, sir.
Well, Ms. Hope, unfortunately, to follow up on Mr., he asked a question, and this wasn't one of them, but over time, we've discussed how sales tax is lost because we do not have this central purchasing possibility. Would that hurt the process? Would that impede the school system from operating as, if just for the sake of them flowing, the things that's not done right now, if there was a smooth process for that to flow through the county so that we could recoup that sales tax, how difficult do you think it would be?
I don't know the legal ramifications of that.
We can study that and get back
That's all.
with you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Hope.
Thank you.
County manager's comments?
I've just got, let's see, I think we had some add-ons.
Okay, right, we've got 3 add-ons. Go ahead.
Okay.
We've got 4 or
The
5.
first one is a contract with HH Architecture, which we walked on this morning. Since contracts can be discussed in executive session, we've done that, or in closed session. You have the memo before you, and you have the statute under which we would be operating. Do you want me to go through the outline of what the details are? And I'll be happy to provide copies of the memo to the press right after the meeting. So my recommendation to you is what the group that's been working on this recommends, and it's laid out in the memo. It's the basically the 7 or 8 points that we laid out there, and we recommend your approval of this so we can move forward with that contract. Mr. Pate is the chair. Do you have anything you want to add to it? Oh, okay.
Set the recommendation for contract. It's the information that's provided before you, and do we need that budget amendment to go along with that?
Pam, I can't remember. Do we need a budget amendment on this?
To cover that.
We
I
ha-
don't have a copy of the information. so-
Well,
Well,
we
it's
have-
restricted, I know it's restricted
You have
funds
$2
anyway.
million set aside for this project, plus about 170, so that would more than suffice. Do we need anything more?
The only thing that we would probably do is to transfer the funds into another fund, but we're fine as far as dollars.
Okay, all right,
I just leave the motion as it is.
all right.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
Then I so,
Okay. Yes,
I
sir.
want, I want to thank the group that's worked on this very diligently, very hard. It's kind of been a tough decision on what to do here. But the important thing we've got on this is the way we're going about this is we're just doing 35% of the schematic design. I mean, if we choose at the end, and we will own this product once we paid for it. So the county will have several options at the end of that. And once we're able to raise the dollars, then we can decide which is the best option for us, whether it's design, build, or going with the normal way. I can't remember. There's so many different ones I can't hardly remember. And then there's the bridge build and so forth. But anyway, owning those schematics is the important thing, and the next step will be moving to funding this project. So anyhow, that's all I got to say at the moment. I may follow up later. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Camardi.
So, Ms. Hope, the budget amendment that we do not have this morning would be for the $267,745.
saying we don't need one, we have.
No.
Well, if they would approve just the transfer of those funds to another line item this morning, it'll keep it from going back to the board because they don't have it in one line item.
But that is the dollar figure we're talking
And
about.
it would be the 276 plus the 48,000.
Do I need to add that to my motion?
Yes, you do.
So done.
I gotta add those numbers real quick.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doherty.
You know, the great thing about this, it gives us the flexibility of, one, going ahead and getting a schematic design so that we can see what we're talking about, and the public can see that as well. But additionally, it gives us the flexibility of building this and what we may later determine to be the most cost-effective manner, whether it's design bid, build, or bid build, or any other way. So I think it's a good recommendation.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wood.
The total amount, Bill, if you want to include this in your motion, is
Okay.
$315,745.
Is that adding that extra 48?
That's adding the $48,000
Yes, okay,
in additional services to the $267,745. And I think that was the question Ed was asking.
Right.
And that is what I was leading toward Mr. Wood, because that is the design dollars that on a project that is ultimately going to be valued at our cost, $14 million
That's right.
or something.
That's
And and I think maybe for the public's consumption, and I don't know how, I know there's a committee that's working on this, but as far as the general public is concerned, it's a good time, I think, just this today, by any other comments that we want to make, is to make the public more aware of what this project is about. And thank the committee who's working on it, but seek to involve the entire county on something that can be worthwhile to serve all the citizens of Wayne County and to make young citizens who are not from farm families or have an opportunity to be on a farm or to know what, where the milk and eggs and hamburgers come from, to be able to somehow or another learn a little bit more of that as we move into the next years. We hear about farming maybe becoming more small farm kinds of things so people can raise their own food. So as we move towards this project, I hope it becomes more, and to use another word that folks love to use, transparent for the community, so they can see all the good things that can come out of this. And the committee, of course, work to involve everyone.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
and your point's well taken. And with this schematic design, we'll be able to go forward to making this more transparent, because the next step is to go out and start doing, this is going to be hopefully a public-private fundraising is what we're planning on doing through the General Assembly of the federal government, and for a local, if you want to buy a brick, you can buy one, and we'll sell it to you. It's not a problem. But, these fundraising meetings will be open to everybody. And the other additional money that was there is part of what we agreed on, and I'm glad you and Christian and Kent met, and they brought this back up.
Right.
Because they needed fundraising renderings, of course, we gotta have that. And then she's gonna help us at the meetings themselves, she'll be there. And if any of you had the opportunity to see her the day that she was here giving her presentation, you could see what a great salesperson that she is.
Yeah, she is.
And, I'm hoping they'll be writing checks when she leaves the room. And of course, we had to have the grading plan and the site master plan, because we got to know what this property out here is going to allow us to build. So those are the end of my comments at this time. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gurley.
I just want to verify with Commissioner Pate, the agriculture committee or group has and concurs with this design.
The subcommittee has met, and that, yes.
Okay.
But we have not met as a complete board. I told them that when we got this, I'd bring this back to them, and she will be present to help make this
But
presentation.
your working group concurs?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Anyone else got any comments? Have a motion on the floor. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
I want to thank the board for supporting this. I think this is a great step and a very important step in this process. This has been going on long before I came to this board, and it's something that's needed not only for our agribusiness community, but for our kids, because they need to see this, and we need to make sure they're all involved, and that is the final plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Nope. Next, Mr. Wood.
Mr. Chairman, these two leases, the county attorney said we could do together. They're with the same entity. This is Wayne Uplift Resource Association, Inc. You have two leases with them currently, and these are just renewals. They're one-year renewals. The current lease allows that, and in fact, it continues on unless one of the other parties wants to drop out. So what we're asking you to do is renew those leases. They would go from January 2015 through December 31st of 15. The dollar figures are the same. On the first one, it's $1,600 a month. This is for the shelter property. And the second one is for $800 a month, and that's for a office building. The office building is across the small street from the health department. So this is identical to what we do right now, and we recommend your approval of both of them.
You don't get the money. The lease that he said, that's what you're saying the value is, then Wayne Uplift uses that to draw down grants. This would be an in-kind contribution
To them.
to them, and you put in your lease what you think it's worth.
And basically, what this organization does is battered women's shelter and helping with that. So they work hand in hand with our DSS. They are not part of DSS, but they work hand in hand with them and with our sheriff's department and the police department as well in these domestic violence cases.
Juvenile courts order people who are in domestic violence situations to go out. They've got the housing, Goldsboro Housing Authority lets them have some space out there as well for that training.
Pleasure of the board. Mr. Doyle.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Where is 719 East Ash Street?
If you were heading to the BOE, I mean what is it?
Social services.
Social Services Building, there's a small brick building just before you get to that building. And there's a side street, and I can't remember what the name of that side street is off of Ash, but there's a small brick building there, that's 719. There's a small side road, and then our parking lot for our building starts.
So actually, yeah, it'd be on the left going back out.
It'd be on the left, if we were, right, if we were going to lunch now, it'd be on your left going out.
And one final question, and that is that I see in the lease here, I think I saw, where we actually pay the utilities
On one of them.
on one of them.
Yeah, you pay I believe you pay.
Okay, landlord will provide housekeeping services and pay the utilities. Is that a little bit odd that we would do that? That we would pay the utilities and provide
Well,
housekeeping?
this is a small office building. This is not the shelter itself. But that's,
And you're saying that we actually don't receive any of these funds anyway, it's just
right,
an in-kind type thing?
that's right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. County manager's comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just have.
Mr. Wood, before you get started, we may want to change our agenda a little bit. Now that we have an assistant county manager, and I know he's taking care of some departments that I know he'll go to you ultimately if there's anything, this big decision to be made. But do we need to start from now on, have when you make your comments, does Tommy need to make his first or after you, or?
I'll give mine to you.
Yeah, I think if he just gives his to me, and then if there's certain things that I want him to go in depth, I'll have him come up and make comments.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
Right,
the board and both of y'all are in the loop.
we are.
Okay, all right, county manager's comments.
All right, just a few things. The first one, if we can hand these out, is This is an update on the farm leases. We told you at the last meeting we were gonna have 2 more properties, remember, that didn't sell the first time, and we didn't get a bid on. We had adjusted the entry-level price. So Noel has done this. We did it on December 9th. The second farm lease auction was held. The Goldsboro Bridge site received 1 bid of $50 an acre, and the Bryan Boulevard site, 24.4 acres, received 1 bid of $50 an acre. So they were leased for that. And what she's done is updated the chart for you now that we've handled all the properties. And so the bottom line is our net lease payments will be up $638.40. The reason they're not up more is we had the one property where a guy was paying $206 an acre, which was really beyond the market value. Remember, the reason he paid that is you did that under a sealed bid, and so he had put that in. When we went through the auction price, it topped out at $150. So that's really the primary difference, but the truth is we were making beyond the market value on that one. So that's how it's all turned out. All of those properties now have been leased. And again, we're to the good $638.40, but I think more importantly than that is we now have a process where you're determining the fair market value in my view, the best manner possible, because people continue to bid on it until we reach the fair market value. And the fair market value is whatever the highest bidder wants to pay for it. When you do a sealed bid, a guy only gets one shot at it, and he has no idea what the competition is on it. So we think the process is better. It's turned out, it worked out a little bit better on the financing as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And
Any questions for Mr. Wood on this?
And the only other thing I would say is we now have a seasoned auction staff, because Marcia and Noel had never done them before. I thought they did a great job on both of them, and want to thank them for conducting this for us. The other thing, I just wanted to update you briefly on the jail. Since our last meeting, we've had 2 meetings now with the jail architect. The first one went for about 6 hours, and that was, we went over all of the security issues. We had our security people in there, primarily Mel Powers, of course the sheriff and the chief jailer, Major Greenfield. We went over that. Then we had Steve Cross and his folks in to talk about the IT issues in there, and we got all of that resolved. That was one meeting, and that, like I said, that was pretty much an all-day affair. Yesterday, we met on the furniture and the built-in fixtures and things like that. That was about a 2-hour meeting that we had with them then. So we're making good progress on it. They're taking it section by section, and as you know, we've already approved the schematic design, so we've nailed down what it's going to look like. Now we're starting to drill down into the details of it. So that's where we're at. Mr. Chairman, you've been at those meetings. Anything you want to add to that?
No, sir. I've been at the meetings. Mr. Mayo's been at the meetings. And the sheriff has just come in. I didn't know whether he had any comments on that. Okay. But I think the process is going well. I mean, you know, at every meeting that I've been at, there's the tweaking's going on. I mean, it's and I think they are aware of the meetings we've had so far, and there's probably going to be several more meetings before the final drawings come out. But I think they've already got the message that we sharpen our pencils pretty sharp.
Yeah, I think they got it.
When it gets down to the point, and one flagpole instead of 2, I think that, you know, that's pretty much sent a message.
That's right.
And we don't want to cut corners enough that it's going to affect the operation of the jail. But, you know, I've made the statement several times, we're not building a Holiday Inn, and but we certainly want the jail built to the standards that it will protect our employees and protect the public.
Right. Ray, anything you want to?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I couldn't believe the detail we have to go into at this meeting. We have to cover everything. I mean, it was really amazing that, paper towel dispensers, locks on doors, every single one had to be addressed. Whether it's gonna be mechanical or use a badge, whatever. And but even with all that, we all know that no matter how smart we are, we're gonna miss something. But the key is that the working group has really done a great job on trying to get this thing nailed down as close as we can.
The only other thing I wanted to mention too, well, two things. One, the HR applications deadline has passed, and so I'll be reviewing those, and then I'll move forward with that on appointing a permanent HR director. I do want to say Geraldine Lee has been doing an outstanding job as the interim director for us. And the only other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that Tommy and I have begun our meetings with various department heads that he's going to be supervising. I think those are going very well. So we're getting a good orientation there. And he's got some great ideas on things. So we're very pleased with that. And with that, I think that's pretty much it as far as what I wanted to mention to you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Wood? Okay.
Can I go first?
Yes, Commissioners, committee reports and comments. Mr. Pate, I think you want to go
Yeah,
first.
I wanted to go first because there's somebody here I want to recognize today, and she needs to go back to work. And, Jennifer, you can come up to the podium now. This is Jennifer Polk. She is the new ESC manager, Workforce Solutions, whatever the name of the day is. But she is a rising star on the employment service, and I just wanted to make sure that you knew who she was. And I know that you've got an invitation you want to give us while you're here today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here with you today and to also hear about all the great things that you're doing for the residents of Wayne County. It's certainly appreciated. As Commissioner Pate stated, I am the new manager of the Employment Office, the Wayne County Career Center, formerly known as the Employment Security Commission. We're actually the Division of Workforce Solutions NC Works Career Center now for Wayne County. We recently underwent a certification, so now we can officially be named an NC Works Career Center. We'll have signage at some point, but we're going to have a grand opening on January 23rd. That's a Friday, and we would certainly appreciate your support, if via representation, if possible. If you can come out and maybe just be a little bit visible to let our higher-ups know that we have your support, then we would definitely greatly appreciate it. Like I said, the event scheduled for January 23rd, we're still working out the time. We've not decided if it'll be 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. just yet, but more information will be forthcoming. So again, thank you for everything that you're doing for the residents of Wayne County, and thanks for allowing me to be a part of your meeting.
Thank you for being here and thank you for being patient. Anyone got any questions? But thank you again for being here, and we will be in.
We are located at 2006 Wayne Memorial Drive here in Goldsboro.
It's behind McDonald's.
Yeah, we're behind McDonald's and the Waffle House.
Okay.
Everybody's moving to Wayne Memorial Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being patient with us today.
Let me finish a few things that I do have. We all went to the parade, so I'm not going to go into detail on that. That was a lot of fun, and I'm glad they're over it up. But the biggest thing that I attended, I really and truly enjoyed was Saturday with the Wreaths Across America in Pikeville. And I know there were more than one events going on for this, but it's so important that we recognize our veterans who have served and given so much to our country, those who are in uniform now and those who have served and what they've done for us. And this is the second year I've been invited to this, and I hope they'll invite me back again next year because I really enjoyed it. And then both my father and grandfather, who are veterans, are in that cemetery. That's why it was so important for me to go to Pikeville. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Bell, I think you have something.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. the Council on Aging, you know, in the past, they've been having a transportation problem, but they informed me last week that they're doing good unless Commissioner Doyle and them increase the gateway fare, so that might create a problem for them. But right now, they are in good shape. East Point went to a convention the first part of December. I didn't go, so I didn't have any connection with them this time. JPC, they did not meet in December. And I passed out a little form here. I was talking to the county manager back some time ago, and there's a demographic of people out there that most of us don't recognize or don't know about, and those are convicted people that have been convicted for some crime or another, and they're in an unemployable state right now. And nobody knows how many people are out there, so I told Mr. Woods I would gather some information. And the form that I passed out only covers the one that are under supervision from probation and parole. It does not count those that been convicted and paid a fine and got out, or some people that maybe didn't get any kind of probation or anything of that sort. So if you would add those to this list, you might be talking about 25,000 people that's located right here in Wayne County that may be in an employable stage right now. Now, Mr. Pate will tell you that there's some benefit for existing employers to hire some of these people that are pretty good people that they can hire. They can get a $25,000 or $2,500 tax break.
WTC.
During the year, just by hiring these people. I'm not talking about if somebody has a record of bank robbery that you hire them at a bank, you know. We're talking about, there's a lot of employable people out there that could go to work, have good skills, and because when they pull up the crime version and they see where they've been convicted, they just wipe them off the list. And I just want to show you that that's 20,000 people right there that we know that's been convicted in Wayne County and were placed on probation. And but there's many, many, many more than that. So out of 124,000 people in Wayne County, we might be looking at 30,000 people that fit that category. So now you wonder why there's so many people loafing the streets and sitting on porches and not working. A lot of them can't work because when they pull their names up, they fall out. They just won't hire them, you know, and it's a difficult problem. So I don't know what we're going to do about this or what we can do about it. But the demographics of this type population is going up. You notice from 2008, every year it increased with the exception of 12 and 13. It kind of dropped down a little bit. But there's a big problem out there, and sooner or later we're going to have to deal with it in some way or another. I don't know how yet. But I just want to pass that on to you.
That's it. Okay. Mr. Camardi?
I went to the same parades that the rest of you fellas did, so I won't get into that. And I think we all enjoyed them all the way from Mount Olive to Fremont to Pikeville and Goldsboro. And so we all enjoyed that. That's a great season. Mount Olive was when we started first. And what I would like to say is I congratulate all you fellas on how free you were with the candy, and I know the citizens appreciate knowing that you have a giving spirit. So I congratulate you for that.
Especially Mr. Dollar.
I won't call Mr. Darter's name, but I will only say that a member of my family said they could hear Mr. Darter laughing a block away as he was giving away candy. So that was certainly a joke. So he was having fun. I did attend the Highway 70 Commission that was held in Smithfield. The Wayne County Development Alliance retreat. And one of the more interesting presentation that was given there had to do with the farming. Very, very in-depth discussion and presentation on farming. I know the young man could have stayed there another 2 hours talking to us about the sides of farming, and wasn't just maybe the positive sides, because he talked about some of the things that's hindering or could down the road be a problem for farming and the whole farming situation. So, Mr. Pate, I connecting the dots, this whole thing that we voted on this morning has far-reaching implications, because the population of the world is growing, and I believe the United States is going to be responsible for feeding a great part of the world that we're not feeding right now, because we are producing the chicken, the turkeys, the pigs that are being exported to other places, and let alone with the fruits, vegetables, and all the other stalk-growing crops. So this whole aspect is very important. And even connect the dots further, we need to, you're talking about Mr. Bell, what we need to do is continue to work towards prevention of those folks getting on that list you have. Prevention. And that means that we need to work hard to diversify occupations for people across the board and have better employment opportunities for people, and especially young people coming up. Now, I want to draw attention to this because something I've said to folk constantly. Our young men who are out of school, and I'm not being sanctimonious and decide why they're out. I'm just talking about the fact that they are out and not having jobs. And because I was in school business, and sometimes young people put the school system in a position that those young people can't stay at school any longer. So they get out on the street and there are no jobs for them. And there's no training for them that they can access or that they are accessing. So that puts them walking the street, sitting on the porch like Mr. Bill alluded to. But the fact remains, they are not working and being productive. And therefore opens the opportunity to come under the umbrella of folk who will lead them down the path or show them a bad path to be down. So we need to work hard towards that prevention piece and therefore make employment and training more available. And I'll go back to the training part. I have a strong direction in my personal life towards skill training, body repair painting by trade. So I could always hang my hat on that. No matter how many times somebody might have wanted to fire me, I could always go on to work for myself. But we need to work towards, with the education entities in Wayne County, towards trying to help reduce that list that Mr. Bell showed us through training for our young people, keeping them out of the situations where it becomes easy to follow the wrong road. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Gurley.
Just a few items passed along from the Wayneville Hospital Board. Special legislative breakfast has been planned, and it'll be held on Wednesday, January 7th, at 8 o'clock in the cafeteria dining rooms, and this is being conducted by North Carolina Hospital Association, and having at various hospitals across the state, and it's been inviting their General Assembly members to come in and be informed of the healthcare issues like to come up before them in the upcoming session. We all know some of the impacts it's going to have on everyone, and as we saw at the Development Alliance retreat last week as well. And then the Ascenient Group has been engaged to update the medical staff plan at the hospital, and it's provide guidance and recruitment efforts. And the hospital board also had their annual retiree luncheon this past November 13th. It was attended by 170 retired hospital staff and physicians. They had a great time. And then last week, the Quality Council met, and simply put, the Quality Council is, they give us a kind of report card on performance in the different areas out at the hospital. And I thought they had a great report card this time, but I must say that even though how good it looked to me, they always push to improve, and I applaud them for that and continuation of the improvements. And Mr. Chairman, last, looking at your committee reports, I accept your appointments with excitement and look forward to 2015, and I'll try my best to meet yours and the county government expectations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Doherty.
You know, I enjoyed the Christmas parades. I really did. Maybe I laughed a little too hard, but I did enjoy them. But I also enjoyed the county employee Christmas luncheon. You know, that's come a long way. And I think that oftentimes our county employees don't get an attaboy and a thank you. And it was good to see them all enjoying lunch at Leantree. We all attended the WCDA retreat in Mount Olive and learned a great deal of the past accomplishments and some of their commitments for future goals. The health department met there, and today the mobile dental lab is being delivered, and the first school is going to be set up at, as of today, is at Brogdon Elementary. They should get all of the utilities connected, and as of the first of the year, we'll actually be seeing our children in our mobile dental lab. The Gateway Board met, and I'm pleased to report that we're making some progress in regards to the reorganization of Gateway. I also see here where, and want to commend the chairman, and I look forward to working with Jack Best on the Highway 70 Corridor Commission. You know, sometimes there's a change of the guard and so forth, but we need to reach out to those individuals that have devoted many a year and developed an expertise in helping Wayne County move forward. And lastly, I want to comment on something, and I'm trying to pick my words carefully here, but I was very upset to see in the press that comments were made that this board there was dissension on this board. It concerns me a great deal to see comments like that. My opinion of that differs totally from that. This board doesn't agree on everything, as we just saw earlier today, where John voted against one of my motions, but we don't agree on everything. But this board voted, I remind you, 97% of the time unanimously last year. Now, that means that we disagreed only 3% of the time. I wish my marriage and my wife only disagreed with me 3% of the time. So to make a statement that there's dissension on the board, I think leaves a very misleading statement there. I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a safe and enjoyable New Year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Mayo.
I just have a few things. The parades were, I enjoy going to the Christmas parades. I don't think I've missed one in the 3 years of being on this board. If I did, it was probably only one. I enjoy watching the children. Some children, maybe the only thing they get for Christmas is the candy they get from us. So I really enjoy that. Also, just to skip over a few things, I went to the grand opening of Miller and Associates Dentures in a Day. They've opened up here in Goldsboro a new dental facility. It's located at 808 North Berkeley Boulevard, which used to be the old Central 21. And so we welcome all businesses into Wayne County. The Jetport Advisor Committee, we had a meeting last week, and the fuel farm is almost complete. They're testing the tanks and the pumps. Actually today, I understood, to try to finalize, make sure everything is working right so they can get this thing in operation and get it fueled up. And of course, I already been mentioning the WCDA meeting in Mount Olive, which healthcare, of course, was one of the big things we talked about, and economic development of agribusiness in Wayne County, the DOT presentation, and a 5-year strategy and financial plan for Wayne County Development Alliance. Also attended the NC East Alliance over in Kinston. As you may have seen in the news or saw on your emails, the NC East Alliance is merging with the NC Northeast Alliance, which includes the counties up in the northeast part of our state, includes Beaufort, Bertie, Camden, Shawan, Currituck, Dare, Gates, Halifax, Hertford, Hyde, Martin, Northampton, Pasquotank, Perquimans, Terrell, and Washington counties. And lastly, the meeting we had in Kinston last week was the last meeting at that Kinston facility. The NC East Alliance is moving to a new facility in Greenville. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of the events that I've attended has already been mentioned, so we'll skip over them. I have attended the jail meetings and the radio meetings. We did not have a radio meeting last week. Also, I attended the employee luncheon on December the 9th, like Mr. Doherty said, and I really enjoyed that. I think all the county employees that were able to attend really appreciated it. Probably a few that was out of place or whatever that didn't attend, but I think that they were very appreciative of the luncheon, and also want to thank Lane Tree. They did a fantastic job on getting everyone in and out in a hurry. Also, I had the pleasure of on December the 11th to meet with the Wayne County Adult Care Home and Wayne Nursing Home Advisory Committee at McCall's. Had never met with this group before. Actually didn't even know they existed, but they are very appreciative of the county support that we give them. They go around and visit the adult care facilities and make sure that they're, things are not going on. They got a pretty tiring job sometimes to keep things straight at some of those facilities. Also, as was mentioned, the wreath laying on December 13th, we had wreath laying at Evergreen Cemetery and at Pikeville Cemetery. I chose to attend the Pikeville ceremony because my dad was a World War II veteran, and that's where he's buried at. But we did have representation at Ebenezer, and I do appreciate both those events being covered. Also, Sunday, we had some of us had the pleasure of going on base with Colonel Mark Slocum's Holiday Open House. I will pass on a little information to you, though. If you forget and leave your pass at home, count on spending a few minutes in the Welcome Center. We got them. Yeah, if you don't have a current insurance card on your vehicle. But we did get on base and had a good time. And that's really all the comments that I have. Anyone else have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bell.
I just want to make one brief comment about the Christmas parade down in Mount Olive, Fremont, and where else we go? Goldsboro. If you want to make a guy happy, get him on that little sleigh and give him some candy, and that Commissioner Joe Doherty. He had more fun than anybody I've ever seen at a Christmas parade.
I think the term was to describe liberal.
Yeah.
Right. Came out of the
You said it, we didn't.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just wanted to mention to y'all, and all of you got this from Cindy Whitfield, I just wanted to remind you that the NCACC, we've gone through the legislative process for the state legislative goals with them, but it's also time to look at federal legislative goals now. And they've sent that email out. So if anybody has anything that you think we need to change at a federal level, but let's keep the list short. But if you have anything seriously that you want NCACC to advocate, then we ought to bring that up sometime in early January, because they need to have that. They'll also look at it at the February 4 meeting. So if anybody has anything, if you just let me know or let the chairman know, and then we'll take it from there and send it on up to them.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Pate.
Got to mention, and I thank both Mr. Wood and especially Milford Smith for being at the parades, and Milford didn't have to come out and do what he did. I know we paid him overtime, I'm not sure we did. But I really appreciate, and the sled looked great, and, it's a good thing, but I want to make sure that you guys were recognized for coming out.
Well, thank you. Milford did a good job of organizing it all. And I enjoyed it. We both enjoyed it.
Anyone else? Have a motion to adjourn?